Welcome everyone to Avini Vibes. Tonight's Thursday, February 22nd, 2024. My name is Christine Rolando, and I want to thank Carol Witt, my co-host up there. Couldn't do it without Carol. She's always there to make things happen for us. And we're grateful for her and everyone that's here tonight that's taking time out of your busy schedule. I know a lot of you are friends, families, distributors, wholesale customers, some retail customers. But most important, I think we all have something in common. We're not here, none of us, to make any medical claims, but we're here to educate one another, to share, to encourage, and even share your testimonials. I answer the question, why are you here? And what has it done for you? Most importantly, I think we could go around tonight. We won't, but we could, and just share all those special thoughts of why you said yes when someone shared Avini and what miraculous things have happened perhaps in your life. And I know there's many, but I don't want to go on and on and on. I just want to tell you tonight, if you don't mind, we are recording. If you'll mute your phone or mute yourself and join us. If you can come on camera, we love to see your beautiful faces and get to know you. So please come on camera if you would do so. And if you don't, that's okay too. But just know that we want to get to know you and help support you in this wonderful gift of a business of Avini Health and this company that we all have the opportunity to be a part of. Tonight, we're blessed to have two special guests. We have somebody that's I've come to love and know and cherish, Suzanne Morrone, and she is a licensed massage therapist. She's got a lot of initials after her name, a CNC, a CHC, but she's a natural health consultant. She's an expert in this field. She's actually an international best-selling author. And Suzanne's going to speak tonight about care, becoming aware, and sharing. And then what we'll do after we hear from Suzanne, we're going to have Pricilla all the way from Colorado. Pricilla is with us as a healer, a mother, a presenter, and a trainer. And she trains on the laws of physical, mental, and emotional health. Priscilla's what's special about her. I'll let her tell her own story, but she's a school, homeschooling and a work at home mom. Wow, who's not a work at home mom, right? When you're home and you're doing all those, wearing lots of hats. But we're going to be blessed to hear from her as well. And what she loves to teach her parents is how to, mitigate the mess in their babies' bodies. She talks about that in great depth, the toxins that is on the mom's body and the baby's bodies. And she's also a Sapphire Director with Avini Health. So we're grateful. Suzanne, why don't I just give you the floor? Welcome. Say hello to our guests. And please, Suzanne, I'll go ahead and be quiet and you go have the floor and share your experience and your love for
Oh,
good health.
thank you, Christine, so much. Good evening to everyone. I like to name things, so I named it Care, Become Aware, and Share. Almost 40 years in the field working with thousands of people, I've seen the problem of toxins. And in many cases, people are unaware that they can have a body burden of toxins that are really behind what's bothering them. When you're given a recommendation of something new to try, isn't there often that gut reaction? You might think, well, that makes perfect sense. Or you say, something doesn't sound right about this. Perhaps mentioning that example, you immediately thought of an experience that you had pertaining to a health challenge. And were told something to do or take, but your inner voice said, that just doesn't sound right. But you decided to go along with it and may have experienced a negative consequence or little to no benefit. But the beautiful thing that we're going to talk about is how when truth is shared clearly, and we know it has a positive ring to it, understanding clarifies it, accurate knowledge when applied with wisdom has a beneficial outcome. And that's what we're seeing with Avini. An important question that we all need to ask ourselves is, what do I need to change to experience health? That opens the door because you realize you are responsible for your health. So I wanted to give you 3 fundamental truths or principles that are part of the foundation upon which we build and maintain health. And we can share these very naturally in conversations to help enlighten the person you're trying to help. The first one is the big picture, incredible design. This principle was shared by King David. It's in Psalms 139:14. He said, I praise you because in an awe-inspiring way, I am wonderfully made. Yet the human body is awe-inspiring. Think of the trillions of cells comprising organs, glands, body systems with life-promoting functions. This appreciation gives us great confidence and gratefulness, but also a responsibility. How so? Well, think how we all function each day, physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, and spiritually. How we live is going to promote health on those levels, or we'll have a lack of it. So think about that for a moment. We all need to give attention and nourishment on all the levels that we function on. So we think, well, we are what we eat, digest, absorb, and assimilate into our cells. But if we're eating all highly processed and toxin-filled so-called food, that's not contributing to health. The products we put on our bodies, what we breathe in, what we drink, the products we clean with, and other things we're exposed to, whatever, they can be toxic. And the other thought is, if we're thinking negatively, becoming anxious, and having an abundance of stress and perhaps fear, then we start with an inflamed body. Inflammation starts. So remember, we're also what we think about, what we dwell upon, and sound down into our hearts. So that impacts health. And the third little principle is skilled self-care. Anything in this life of great worth, what is precious, requires care, proper maintenance or upkeep, and support. So certainly our bodies need this. And you realize that your daily choices, what your habits, decisions impact you positively or negatively. When you start studying toxic sources and impacts, it can be extremely worrisome to contemplate because worldwide we see it's a major problem. Now, when we understand why something is important to do and necessary, and learn how to go about it, we are now engaging to reach our goal. So these principles you can share to make a difference, not only in your own life, but helping others. Your story is powerful, and the story of those you've helped is very powerful. So spreading awareness in an understandable, effective way is how everyone on the call can share those necessities of addressing toxins. I'm going to share two quick examples of people that I had met over the years and the toxins that they had to contend with. I was driving on a rural road and noticed a little dog limping and injured in the unfenced side yard of this big home. I pulled over, went to the door and knocked, and I could hear a rustling like it was taking a long time. And when the lady opened the door, there were countless bags of trash, plastic bags, columns of stacked newspapers, boxes, things not in bags, almost to the ceiling. She could barely fit between all that trash and the door. I'm sure life wasn't pleasant for her. There is a strong connection between mind and body when it comes to illness or healing. And our immune cells have receptor sites affected by our thoughts and emotions. The second one is a man came in and told me they can't find what's wrong with me. I'm taking 4 meds for severe nerve pain and shaking. I simply asked him a question. What did you do for a living? He looked at me and said, what in the world does that have to do with anything? He obviously was thinking of work and being compensated, but the question was very pertinent because he worked for 20 years in a battery acid plant. And he also worked prior to that as a welder. Excesses, exposure, connect the dots. There's cause and effect. So these examples help us to appreciate how toxins can be building up over the years, even decades, and at the root of our problems. Toxic thoughts and toxins building up, and most people are not aware of the harm that they do to the body. So let's look briefly again. I know it's been mentioned before, but there's a point to bring out here. That landmark study of the Environmental Working Group was reported in 2005, and 2 laboratories tested the umbilical cord blood from 10 newborns. They found 287 chemicals detected, and it is known that 180 cause cancer in human and animals. 217 are toxic to the brain and nervous system. And 208 cause birth defects or abnormal development in animal tests. So the EWG stated the dangers of pre or post-natal exposure to this complex mixture of carcinogens, developmental toxins, and neurotoxins have never been studied. So people have that awareness. They think because it's a protected area in the body, the babies are not becoming exposed to anything. And we see how that was clearly missed. So reason on this: if unborn US babies are harboring an abundance of toxins like mercury, petrochemicals, consumer products, and pesticides, they're not safely addressed or eliminated, what other toxins are going to add to the body burden as years pass? causing what unhealthy named conditions. It's interesting, this past Monday, I happened to catch the news, and it was Environmental Working Group again, aired on Fox News and a number of other stations. And they were talking about the pesticide chlormequat, linked to reproductive harm and developmental issues in animals. And they said it was found in oat-based foods. Well, they named some major brand names like Cheerios and Quaker Oats, according to a peer-reviewed study. But chlormequat was detected in 80% of people tested in 3 geographical regions of the US. And that was done between 2017 and 2023. So the EWG study was published in the Journal of Exposure Science and Environmental Epidemiology. So think about it. Was it all just oat-based products? Obviously not. The only source of exposure, because what about those who tested positive who don't eat oats? But we know it's an environmental problem, obviously. When we meet or talk with folks every day dealing with personal challenges, it's causing them anxiety, stress, and fear. Many are not even aware of what heavy metals are or other toxins that need to be addressed. So this serious toxic problem and sharing Cell Defender and the other products that are healthy and non-toxic will help them along in restoring their health on that journey. So I wanted to say, sharing your hope. The principles that you heard, those 3 in a solid health foundation, and encouraging them to see the difference, not only to help themselves, but helping others as well, is so important. And I focused mainly on Cell Defender in this part because it does an amazing, safe, incredible job to help people to detox and get rid of those harmful things that can turn into these named serious problems. So care, grow an awareness, and share the knowledge of highly effective, safe approaches with Avini. Isn't making a difference a big why as to why we're all here? Thanks for listening, and Christine, back to you.
Wow, Suzanne, thank you for sharing that. What really caught me is you made a point about some people don't even realize they're exposed to heavy metals. I grew up in a little town called Maywood, or what's known as Mayberry RFD, 1 square mile, 11 miles out of New York City. And when we went down to the hospital at Hackensack University Hospital for Craig's surgery today, I drove by where I used to live, and we have a garbage dump. There was a garbage dump. I mean, Maywood was the perfect little town, right? We walked to school. It was safe way back when, right? But I looked and I showed Craig, this is where I grew up. And there's all these garbage and there's a pharmaceutical company that was dumping, later years we found out, into our water supply, Thorazine, into our water supply. Fortunately, graduated high school. I was out of there at 17, didn't affect me. But as I go back and learn the effects it had had on so many of my neighbors that are no longer there for one reason or another, if you know what I mean. So Suzanne, thank you. That really brought it home for us why we have a common bond here amongst our guests and our people on this call tonight. We all have a call and a mission. I like what you said: care, become aware, and share. It is something important. And with that, I want to just turn it over to our next speaker, Pricilla. So grateful you're here. We've heard you before, but we didn't even get a full version because I believe we had a little tech problem that night. But I'm grateful that you're back, because same as Suzanne, you have so much knowledge and experience. So please come forth and share.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, to see all your smiling faces. And wow, that was a wonderful presentation, Suzanne. I really appreciate that. Well put together. And yeah, so you said the care, aware, and share, but I really liked what you said about skilled self-care. And it brings us back to even having that awareness that there's an issue. And, you know, that's part of our purpose, right? We have to present the problem because there's so many people that just don't know. And if we don't ask them those questions, like what Suzanne said, you know, where did you work? Where did you grow up? You know, what kind of house did you grow up? And just to go bounce off what Christine said, you know, I grew up, my parents bought an old house in New Jersey. I lived my first 10 years in New Jersey in a big old house that probably had lead paint. We moved to California and bought another old craftsman house. Again, I'm pretty sure it had lead paint, you know, and so for me, it's just been a journey of discovery. Like for me, when I hear one thing, oh, this, you know, there's something out there that's not good for you. Okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. You're like, maybe I should switch my shampoos. Okay, I'm looking for a new shampoo, or I don't use fragrance, right? Because these little snippets of information come into our lives and we can choose to accept them or reject them. But again, it really is about the care of these beautiful bodies, these intelligent cells, you know, this wonderful home that we get to live in, but we've never been taught how to take care of it. And I was raised by a doctor and a nurse. And, you know, I don't feel like I got the proper health education. I feel like I was in my 30s before I started to really grasp the concept of nutrition and that we eat for energy, you know, not just for enjoyment. Um, I'm half Filipino. My dad was born in Manila. And so being half Filipino, a huge staple of our food was white rice. Have a huge plate of white rice, right? And then you put your soupy meats and vegetables on top of that. And really, it was so much rice. And it wasn't until, gosh, I think I was in my late 30s, was, you know, just introduced to health. And I learned about the Mediterranean diet. You know, I learned about the glycemic index, about spiking the blood sugars, and the blood sugar issue that runs in my family. So that's a concern, you know. And I remember in my younger years thinking, I remember going to the doctor and filling out the medical history, you know, like, what's your family medical history? I'm like, check, check, check. I mean, I was going down the line, check, check. And I was starting to get a little, you know, upset about it. I'm like, oh, you know, just contemplating what my future looks like. And what I did realize is that if I don't learn as I go along, if I continue in the same health practices as my parents or my grandparents, then yes, genetically, these are the things that may come up in my health, right? But I can affect change. And when I learned that, that was really huge for me, that we can affect change on ourselves, that what we think really does matter. What we eat and drink, it matters. It affects our cells. And my first introduction to that was amazing because I got to study with Dr. Robert Young of the pH Miracle, but I don't know if anyone's aware of the pH Miracle books, but he teaches about not just raw food, but eating alkaline and changing the state of your cells. And what he taught me was how to look at my red blood cells under a microscope. And he showed us what the red blood cells are supposed to look like, nice and round and full and moving along. You know, the flow is important. But mostly what we saw in that class was red blood cells that are sticking together that are misshapen, that are clumped, you know, and they're starting to grow something else. And it was a little bit frightening, but also very, very illuminating to see the red blood cells, to see that they can be in one state and then they can change back to a healthy state. And what I learned in that class also was a term called pleomorphism. So pleomorphism is the basic idea that nothing ever dies, right? We're energy and nothing ever dies. It just changes shape. And that sometimes in the wrong environment, a certain cell can turn into something else. So it can take different shapes depending on its environment, right? And so I guess that just brings us back to the environment that we live in is polluted, right? We're being polluted through our air, through our water, in the food that we're eating. So we can't necessarily control that. I mean, we can try and affect change on policy, but really the only thing we have control over is ourselves. And what a blessing it has been for all of us, for myself, for my family, to realize that there is a way that we can clean out the body. That's what I really love so much about our Cell Defender, about Detoxolite, about Rick Deitch, because when this was brought to me, I really thought that I already had the world's greatest breakthrough, right? You know, I mean, I'm already in the right place at the right time with the right people. And then when I was introduced to this Cell Defender product by someone that I trusted and held in high esteem, right? It's just the concept, right? If I can take a shower on the inside, if the flow can happen and I'm peeing out poison, what a beautiful world this is. I had no idea, because otherwise the other option is chelation. Well, I didn't have the money or the resources for any of that, or even the inclination to do it. But to have something so simple like Cell Defender, just little drops that we put in our mouth, and like Chip says, the next time we pee, we're peeing out poison. And as we immerse ourselves in this community, we hear story after story, amazing testimonials, success stories where people are changing the state of their cells by cleaning up the body. So I'm super grateful to be here. And I'm like Suzanne, you know, love to teach about all the different areas of health. You know, we talk about hydration, we talk about the nutrition, we talk about sleep and how important that is, exercise and respiration, all these things that we need to do, a daily practice, proper practice of those laws of physical health. And I'm just so I love our product line that really works synergistically. So anyway, on the health side. Now, Christine, you asked me last time that we spoke, you wanted me to talk a little bit about the network marketing side of it as well. And I love that Chip touched on it yesterday on his morning call about the genius, right, of two great ideas coming together, creating genius. And I just think that's really so true, especially you know, the community that we get to work in. Like you said, Christine, the type of that we get to have these early morning phone calls. We have people who are ready and willing to answer the phone to help out someone who's in need. I just think it's a beautiful thing. And so for those of you who haven't heard my story before, when I was younger, about 17 years ago, I was married and I had 2 young children. And one day, on Valentine's Day, actually, my husband decided that he no longer wanted to be married to me. And so here I was faced with, I was a stay-at-home mom at the time, faced with a mortgage, faced with a husband leaving, wondering what I'm going to do. And at the time, I didn't have interest in going to work for someone else for 40 to 50 hours a week. I wasn't interested in going back to school. And I had done some direct sales prior to that. I had done some network marketing and had already fallen in love with the idea, right? So I love the idea that I get to work for myself, but not by myself, with people within a community, offering really great products. And so I knew the industry that I wanted to be in. I just didn't know the field, I guess, so to speak. And so at the time, my massage therapist had introduced me to a health sciences company. And so really it was neat because I was like, oh, okay, great. I felt like that was my answered prayer. And it was then that I started on my journey of health, of learning how to take care of my body, that I needed to take supplements, that I needed to take care of my skin. I really wasn't thinking about any of that prior to that. And maybe, being a mom, you're always taking care of the family, you're taking care of the kids, you're taking care of the husband. And so that was my opportunity, my own personal development, health and self-development came from not only in the health field, but also in network marketing, because here I get to speak, right, about things I'm passionate about. I get to share my story, like you said. Our stories are really important. And although I don't have a drastic health story, it's really about prioritizing prevention, you know, um, not getting to a state where I absolutely have to go to the hospital or I have to seek medical attention. And even if I do get to that point, it's really comforting to me to know that we have this arsenal of health products that can help us, again, change our state and get us back to homeostasis, right? So
I like what you just said. Prioritize prevention, right?
yeah.
So a couple of weeks ago, someone came on that was a guest and called me up and said, "Is that for only for sick people?" And I said, "Absolutely not." I said, "This is not for sick people. Although we have people that come, maybe when they've exhausted or every other avenue, or they're finally open-minded." But I said, no. And you just hit the nail, and that just went off, right?
Yeah.
Prioritizing prevention. That's why we're all here. So
Yeah.
keep going. I just wanted to chime in and say that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's what it's all about. I think that's the message. And actually, I don't want to take credit for it because I think that came from Neil about prioritizing prevention. But for me, a couple of weeks ago, I sat down and I thought, okay, prioritize prevention. Well, I like the alliteration as well. So I wrote down prioritize prevention program. And this is something that we can offer to people, right? When you purchase an activation pack, this is also what you get, and you have choices of the selection that you want, but you also get daily calls, right? You get a wonderful community, you get business training, you get to hear testimonials. We get all of this on a weekly basis. And it was kind of neat to put it down on paper, on a page that I can offer to people of everything that we are all already experiencing, right? And it's a place where we get to grow, we get to come together, we get to talk about it, about our struggles, about our wins, and about where we're going, and how much, who and where and how and far wide we want to share this message of Avini Health. So
No, it's a gift, is it not? It's a gift for sure. And I see everybody shaking their head. If you agree, raise your hand down at the bottom in your reaction or in
it
hand.
it really is it
Mika.
really is a gift. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because I think I was talking to my son earlier, and I told him some of the languaging I was using. He's like, "Wow, you've gotten a little bit evangelical," and I feel like, yeah, I think that is growing with me. And if we think about how we are spiritual beings, we are energy beings, and we are removing these heavy things, this heaviness, right? We're taking away the heaviness, which allows us to be lighter, right? And to connect deeper with our source, with our God, with our connection. So I feel that on a daily basis. I feel it when I take Cell Defender. I don't know if anyone else, when you take Cell Defender, I'll just take it and I'll just get a tingle. Like all my cells are like, thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, it really is about putting the right things in your body, taking the wrong things out, thinking and, changing your mindset, changing those negative thoughts from negative to positive. And I mean, this has really been a learning process for me as well, because I mean, growing up, we were sarcastic, we were negative, it's all about the complaining, and it was like sport, it was like fun. But then you realize it's energetic, and everything you say, has meaning. It's all about our intention. So it's just part of the process. Part of my journey is again changing the things that I think, the way that I think, and putting the good energy out, which then comes back. So,
and I think the people that have joined us tonight aren't here by accident. I see Marcy down there. I'm going to ask Marcy to chime in for a couple minutes. We don't get an opportunity always to say hello. We have your wonderful husband, but hey, Marcy, we got a few more minutes, and I just wanted to say hello and thank you for always supporting us, and have you speak a few words to this group, if you don't mind.
Well, I'd love to. I'm thrilled to death with the words that have been spoken. Don't you just love it? It's you come to an event, you talk to somebody, and they say something, and it just rains on you. It doesn't drip on you; it rains on you, and your heart just feels lifted, and that lightness is for real. I love that. Chip usually summarizes the calls when he's on the calls. A lot of times he'll say what he heard on the calls, and I love that. That's my personal choice. Also, I love to come at the end and say, "Well, wasn't that something?" Right? Let's redo that applause. Let's bring that back for just a minute. I love the fact that as I came in, I was on early, and then I had a call come in. As you guys may have heard, I apologize if my call overwrapped yours. But anyway, when I came back on, we were having a wonderful discussion about the powers that be and what we face every day. And we have the solution to your body's pollution. But understand, more people today know they're polluted. When I first was introduced to this product, I would talk about the solution to your body's pollution. It was the very first one-liner I created for this company. I literally said, we have the solution to your body's pollution. And that stuck like glue to the wall, and it still does today, because it is exactly what we have. I tell people that we have the single biggest discovery in healthcare in the last 300, 1,000 years, and it came in this bottle. And it's available to everybody, but most people have never heard of it. Those are our things. Those are our armaments. That's what we can do. So
He'll cut the glass bottle. He's holding up the glass bottle in the silver, in the blue. You see that? Same thing in the glass.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
I took mine while we were on. I every chance I get, I'm going to do that. I also took some of my silver while I was sitting here. I keep it here. When I'm talking to people, this is a great time for me to show them I do it too. It is about each of us doing it too. One of the things as I was sitting there, I thought, I wrote down, we didn't know any better. Oh my gosh, how many things have we said to in our lives that we say, well, it's okay, Carol, you didn't know any better. It's okay, Christine, you didn't know any better, right? It's not okay. It's not okay. We need to let people know we know better. We now know we have the solution to your body's pollution. We know that it can't hurt you. It might help you. It might change your life forever. It will change your life. It will save lives of people you know. It will and has done exactly that for all of us that have been doing it just longer. We forgave ourselves a long time ago. It's time for us to step in and help other people find out what they need, what they can get. She talked about the babies in the womb, and people thought that was the safest place for a baby. It's the most harmful. It's the most harmful concoction of poison that they'll ever face. And they carry it with them when they leave, unless they've met the product. And the time for them to meet the product and greet the product is before mom even gets pregnant. So don't hesitate. We don't have a warning on our label that says not for pregnant women or tiny babies or nursing mothers. In fact, we should put bold on there. Talk to them first, because you can make a difference. Make a difference from the beginning. I say there's 100% of your grandmother's poison in you, 100% of your mother's, and your dad is not free of guilt either. Guess what? At 50% and more is contributed to dad. And they say, oh, it can't be that much. What does dad do? Well, you got your blue eyes from him. Must have done something, right? It has that kind of effect. So that their contribution. The checklist, I love that. And I think that was Pricilla that mentioned the checklist. You should have a checklist. Ask people, gosh, did your parents die with their teeth? Or were they formed teeth? Somebody went to the dentist and got new ones. Did they have them when they passed? Are they still with you? Find out some of that. The doctor asks every time you go in a doctor office, you have to fill out that form that Pricilla talked about. Check that list. And if you can change your list, what can you do for other people? You understand that generational disability that you were born with isn't yours anymore. You don't have it because you have something better. You have a relief of the symptoms. You have effectively changed your body. There were so many things I picked from. That's probably more than you wanted. Live blood cell analysis, I love it. In live blood cell analysis, you can see, people go and have their sperm tested. You know that we have the biggest crisis of people that cannot bear children? It's absolutely beyond measure what's happened. Do you know that instead of doctors coming out and saying, wow, this person's in trouble, they've got this metro problem and that uterus is in big, big problems, right? They come out of every exam saying that. They come out of the room and say, come look, this one doesn't have it. And if you doesn't have it, it's probably because you do have this. Powerful. Powerful.
Thank you so much. I know I put you on the spot, but I appreciate that. Yeah, because I'd like to tell everybody that we're going to get you off of here by 8:15. So I want to just give you a couple announcements. Don't forget, Novella, she's on here tonight. She sent me this great book, and I'm not going to talk about it tonight, but I read it today, Novella. Thumbs up. I'm going to give you an opportunity in a couple of weeks to come and talk about that, because Suzanne started with a little bit about what we think about what we are. Suzanne, I'd appreciate it if you don't mind. Would you unmute and just give us some closing words, parting words? And before you do that, I hope you have your tickets to the summit, April 26th and 27th in Las Vegas. Get your rooms. I booked mine. Yes, I'm very excited. It's going to be fun. You'll learn so much more. You'll be with positive, like-minded, genius people. You'll hear from, you'll learn. So please book that. Next week, we're going to hear from our very own Anika about her journey. She's brand new to Avini, and she's just brilliant. She's on fire. Her enthusiasm. Come and learn what she learned, what she's doing. It's powerful, and she knows the products inside and out. So Anika next week. Suzanne, we got about 2 minutes, so if you wouldn't mind, offer our parting words, if you don't mind, for here Avini Vibes tonight.
Okay, I'd be happy to. There's such a wonderful feeling of peace and calm when we really understand what was presented tonight. Put it into practice, and it's a game changer for your life. All of these products, like were stated, will help you to do that. You get the toxins out, the good stuff in, and you're good to go. And you want to help others, that's a beautiful thing, because you can help them experience that same change in health that you have experienced. So it's important. We need to do it, because otherwise we see what's happening in people's lives. So it's really, you could say, life-saving, life-changing.
Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you so much, Pricilla. Thank you, Marcy, everyone, guests, everyone that joined us tonight. Have a blessed week, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week, same time. And go out and do some Avini Vibes.
And
Thank you.
guys, this recording will be up in YouTube and I'll send it out. Make sure that you guys can have it. Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Thank you so
Night,
much.
everyone.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
No.